I got a story for you. Yeah, it's about chickens. Yeah, I used to think that chickens were the dumbest animals on the planet. And that's because I grew up with chickens. We had them in our backyard when I was a kid in Greenville, South Carolina. Yeah, we had lived in a mill village. We had 10 hens and one mean little rooster. His name was Henry. And Henry was ornery. And he'd sit on top of the hen house. When I'd go out there with my mother to get eggs, well, he'd come flying off that hen house and he'd hit me in the back, dig his claws in and start flogging me. My mother would take a broom and swat him and he'd roll across the yard. Despite this traumatic experience that I had with Henry, I grew to like chickens. I like them fried, I like them baked, I like them broiled. And whenever we were going to have one of these chickens over for Sunday dinner, my father was the chief executioner and chicken plucker. Yeah, he'd take that critter by the head, the neck, and he would take an axe and whack. The body would go one way, the head would go the other, and it'd flop around for a while. And because it took a while for the chicken to know that it didn't have a head, well, I began to think it was pretty dumb until a few years later when I meet an extraordinary chicken. Now, my buddy Louie and I, we're in high school, and on a Sunday afternoon, we go from Greenville, South Carolina, all the way up to the Cherokee Indian Reservation in North Carolina. It was a wondrous place back in the 1960s before the casinos came in. Yeah, they had game rooms and restaurants and ice cream shops and gift shops, and there were attractions, bears and cages. It was quite a place. And we're walking down the street, one of the streets, and we see this thing. It's an amazing attraction. It's called the Bird Brain Challenge, big letters across the top, Bird Brain Challenge. And underneath there is this big white box. It's a box-like contraption. And it's white. And in the left-hand corner, little left-hand corner, there's a window. And we look in that window and there's a little fluffy white chicken in there, a leghorn chicken sitting in a straw all around. And in front of that chicken, right in front of his nose, there's this little petition that says thinking booth. And the chicken can put its head behind that. We can't see what it's doing. And on the outside, on the right-hand side, there's this big tic-tac-toe screen. And it's electronic, and there's a slot for putting quarters in. And for 25 cents, you could play tic-tac-toe with a chicken. Well, Louis can't resist this. Louis tall, he's good looking, he's got a ducktail haircut, kind of like Elvis. And he can't resist it. And he scoffs. Who couldn't beat a chicken, he said. And so he puts a quarter in, and a light comes on. And the chicken perks up and it looks around, and it sticks its head behind that thinking booth. It's pecking. And all of a sudden, an X appears, lit up in the center square outside. And Louis touches the upper right-hand corner, and a zero appears. And that chicken pecks again, and it's X's and O's, Louis and Bird going back and forth. It ends in a tie. Louis did not beat the bird. He's a little bit upset. Blind luck for the bird. Must be luck. $2.25 later, Louis has tied that bird 8 times. He lost once and tried to throw the chicken off. Yeah, I thought he could trick him. That's what I said anyway. And all the time that Louis is playing, he's got these excuses. Well, the bird always goes first. If I went first, I could beat it. The bird always goes to the center square. Why can't I go to the center square? That bird's no ordinary bird. It's a super smart bird. It's a rare breed. It's impossible. It's unreal. That bird plays every day, and I haven't played in years. I just don't know. I got rusty playing. I think when that bird puts its head behind the thinking booth, it's turning on a computer. I'm playing against a computer. I'm not playing against that bird. And he's about to put another quarter in, and I say, Louis, wait. Suppose by some miracle you beat the bird this time. What are you going to tell people? I beat a chicken at tic-tac-toe. I mean, really. They won't be impressed unless they've seen this bird. And they'll be less impressed if they find out it took you 10 times to do it. Well, Louis gives up. He says, yeah, you're right. He says, yes, I resigned. I cannot beat the bird. I can only tie it. And I did some research on this after we went back home, and Louis felt bad about losing to a chicken. It turns out there were these games were all over the country, and for years they were arcade games, and they were in casinos and restaurants and state fairs. And the people who trained these birds were down in Little Rock, Arkansas. They were behavioral animal scientists, and they taught these birds how to play the game by feeding them. They pecked to get food. They weren't really playing tic-tac-toe. They were getting food, but they were scientists. And that impressed Louis. That impressed Louis. He said, well, scientists put a man on the moon. Oh, okay, it's not so bad. And we learned that a chicken is not the dumbest animal on the planet. No, the dumbest animal on the planet is someone who will pay 25 cents to try to beat a chicken.